Hidden across America, there's certain pockets of trout fishing that people just often overlook. It's a misconception to think that trout fishing is reserved for the Rocky Mountains or the Smoky Mountains. Here in Missouri, we have some of the best trout fishing I've ever experienced. As far as being able to get away from people and experience some big fish in some of the most scenic areas of the country I've ever been in. The reason we're here fishing today is because of the work Spence Turner did. Spence deserves a tip of the cap from every trout fisherman that passes through our state.
Somebody said if you got a job you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. And to bite honest, I was there at the right time when I could be autonomous and do things that I knew needed to be done. I was able to accomplish what I set out to accomplish, and that's humbling.
We have a multitude of opportunities and a lot of really high quality trout fishing. We owe all of that to Spence Turner.
Missouri's had trout here since the 1880s, but when I joined in '69, that history was pretty much lost. And part of my focus was to change the department's focus so they not only had the wonderful trout parks that we manage every year, but there was also a diversity of fishing opportunities for those folks that wanted something by themselves.
I've heard Spence described as the father of Missouri's modern day trout program and trout fishery, and that's a pretty good description because when Spence arrived on the scene, there had been some quote-unquote trout biologists before him, but they hadn't stayed long and they hadn't made quite as big of a mark as he had. And at that time, trout fishing was totally and completely about raising and stocking hatchery trout.
But he started doing a lot of thermograph studies and trying to determine which streams could hold fish. He also was identifying some of those streams that had wild populations in them and was instrumental in developing plans for those streams that would have habitat put in that would help those populations expand and become even more viable than they were. And again, just like being here on the Current River below the park, for the next 7 miles we have a managed trout area that basically didn't exist before that time. So he really brought trout fishing to the state of Missouri.
Probably the biggest job any biologist has, and most of them never realize it till they're been in for a long time, is communication.
It's also worth mentioning about Spence that his ability as a communicator was something that was very much a part of him. He ended up being, in addition to being a kind of a giant in his scientific field, he was president of the Outdoor Writers Association of America, which is a very prestigious organization.
How rare is it that a scientist trained to analyze and to question and to criticize and to investigate could become, on the grandest stage in the world, one of the great voices for the outdoors? He's that and much more.
Like so many people in that cohort that came to the Conservation Department in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, he was a Renaissance man. He was multi-talented.
He has left a legacy in Missouri for all of us. Just an incredible life that he's lived and just an incredible job that he did bringing trout, wild trout, to Missouri.
It's a passing of not only a great man, but in some ways an era that he established.
I will miss him terribly, but boy, what a legacy he has left behind, and generations will have the opportunity to enjoy what Spence started.